Okay, so in a previous video, you saw that I bought a brand new T56 Magnum transmission from Summit Racing, and in this video, I want to go over all the other parts that we're going to be needing for install. So the clutch kit came in, the master cylinder, some hydraulic lines, and all that good stuff, as well as the pedal assembly. So I just want to show you all those parts. But in this video specifically, I just want to cover the clutch install. Okay, and so let's get right into it. Okay, so this is the clutch that I'm gonna run. It's a Monster clutch. It's an S series and it's a twin disc for the F body. Now this guy here can handle 700 rear wheel horsepower or 700 torque, and this clutch is about $1,000. So not only was the T56 Magnum expensive, but you know, a clutch is not cheap either, at least a good clutch. So you can see a theme here. The turbo is good for 700, the trans is good for 700 torque, and now this is good for 700 horsepower and torque. So that's kind of the number I'm capping at. I'm not, my goal in all of this is 500, and I can turn up the boost and have more if I want, but anyway, I'm doing it a little overkill, as you can see, which is fine. So this clutch kit comes with flywheel bolts. I went with the standard flywheel weight for this guy, which is 24 pounds, I believe. Yeah, so it's the 24-pound billet steel flywheel. They got the clutch alignment tool, and there's two styles of pilot bearings. We're going to go with this one. And the side that has the seal and this like bevel on here faces the transmission. Okay, so it's going to go like this inside the crank. Okay, so the seal and the bevel here is going to face out or towards the trans, and we're going to have to pop that guy in. Let me just cover the directions really quick. I have to remove all these bolts here for the pressure plate. And one thing to note is this is assembled a certain way because, it's balanced or whatever. So there's a large green stripe here on this part and on the flywheel, so that aligns this here, and there's also pins, so that is easy to remember. Alright, so that's that guy. Alright, so we need to clean this. Okay, here's your other disc. Okay, see how it says transmission side here? Okay, now there's these spacers. These spacers, it doesn't matter where they go, so we can just pull those off. Now these guys here, these blocks, the Monster face has to face out, and then they put two marks for this guy. This one only has one mark. This guy has three. Okay, so those have to go a certain way, but they marked it. Okay, so here's all this. I'll hit this with brake clean, and then here's the the flywheel bolts that we need to use, and they're special. They're a little modified for this guy. So we'll attach that to the engine. And also what I bought, because it was cheap, is this guy here. This bolts in the place of the starter, and it has some teeth that locks to this, so therefore I can torque the bolts without having it spin on me. Okay, let's go over the instructions really quick. It says, do not lubricate the pilot bearing or the input shaft. We have to do some measurements. Okay, flywheel bolts are torqued in 3 phases. It's 15, then 37, then 74, in a crisscross pattern. Pressure plate bolts, 20, 40, and then 52. Okay, and they want red Loctite on these. Okay, so we covered the clutch that I'm going to use for this project, and I will go over what else came with this kit. So I bought a clutch kit from Tick Performance, okay? So that clutch kit, we covered the Monster clutch, and now here's the rest of the stuff. It comes with a GM slave cylinder, okay? So this is the hydraulic throwout bearing, slave cylinder, whatever you want to call it. It's just a factory GM unit, okay? Done some reading, and Tick even says that, hey, this factory GM one is just fine, okay? I know there's a bunch of aftermarket ones, but you just need this, okay? This is the bleeder screw, and it's a pain in the ass to bleed this while you're under the car. So I bought the remote bleeder line. So this basically hooks up and you route this line somewhere in the engine bay, and it just makes bleeding much quicker. Okay, I went with their upgraded master cylinder. It's adjustable, and what adjustable means is basically they have this turnbuckle, and it's really for a stock 98 to 02 F-body Camaro, right? But what they've done here is they increased the bore size of this master. So basically, that does two things. It's going to push more fluid, so this thing will react quicker. It's going to have a shorter pedal to achieve the same amount of throw here, okay, so for quicker shifts, right? However, at the expense of a little more pedal effort. So you need more force on the pedal to push the fluid, okay, so that's the trade-off. So I believe factory Masters are 3/4 bore size. This is a 7/8 bore size. Yeah, it says right here 7/8. So it's just going to require a little more pedal effort. It's going to push more fluid. It's also going to give me a shorter engagement window. It's going to be more like an on-off switch versus a dimmer switch, if you will, as far as when the clutch engages and whatnot. And but I've read reviews on this and people are happy. And for high RPM shifts, this thing works great. It also comes with a line. So this is like a quick release line that you put on here. And there was a flaw in the factory F-body line, and a bunch of people were doing the drill mod and all that. Well, you don't need to do that for this. So that's all this, okay? Now, we're going to need to bottom this guy out for the measurement. So I might as well just go over how to do that. So basically, we have to remove this spring and collapse this all the way. So if you look right here, there's a machined section, okay? What you want to do, and there's a little hook underneath this plastic part. So right here, as I'm taking this guy off, I'm stretching it. So see, I'm kind of taking this plastic and I'm stretching it, okay? So see that right there? This little hook catches on the edge of this plastic here, okay? So go ahead and take that apart, and then when you put it back together, it just snaps right back over it, and now this thing is bottomed out all the way, okay? And we need to do that for our clutch measurement, okay? So that's that, and that's how you do it for that step. Okay, so my car was a factory auto car, two pedals, right? Gas and the large brake pedal. So what we have to do is swap out for this assembly, smaller brake pedal, and you got your new clutch pedal. It looks like the push rod goes here for the master. We're also going to have to get in a neutral safety switch and probably a pedal stop. So I got to figure some stuff out here. But anyway, this part number here is W-839. So everyone sells that. You know, every distributor seems to list it as that part number. So we'll get into this in a later video though. Okay, so here's the best shot I can get. I put the bearing in the freezer for a little bit, and just remember the seal faces the transmission or towards the camera. Just using a bearing and race driver, and we'll just knock it in flush to that first counterbore. Okay, it's nice and flush. I'm going to install my lock thing. Well, that thing barely fits on there. Definitely a low quality tool. What can you expect for 10 bucks? Okay, now we're going to torque that down. 15, 37, 74 in 3 phases. All right, that's all torqued. Now we'll just clean it and then install the clutch. So I already cleaned it once. This is just to clean it again. These surfaces don't matter here on the outer, but whatever, I'll just clean it. See, I don't want to remove those marks. So this inside surface is what we care about. So that's clean. Okay, pressure plate, or clutch and pressure plate time. The torque is 20, 40, and 52 in 3 phases. Red Loctite on those bolts. All right, first we'll put our disc on, and then this is the transmission side. So this goes like this. And then we got our install tool. So go ahead and line that guy up. Hopefully none of this falls out. Okay, this green mark lines up with the green mark up there. And it's got to be on the pins. God damn it, I got to take this thing back off. Okay, let's try that again. I had to put these blocks on first. Red Loctite. Okay, let me double check that. The monster hair is facing out. And then these 3, it doesn't matter where they go. Just put them in. All right, that's done. Woo, sweaty. Okay, so here are the instructions from Monster Clutch, and basically you do this for any clutch install, is we have to find the gap between A and B here, okay, which is the C dimension. So basically, we want a small gap between when the slave is bottomed out and the fingers of the clutch. Okay, so that way there's no preload on the pressure plate, so therefore it has maximum holding power. Okay, so we got to measure from the face of the bell housing to the fingers of the pressure plate, so that's dimension A. And then we need to collapse the slave cylinder without the spring installed and measure to the face of the transmission mounting plane, okay? And we subtract the 2. So let's go ahead and run through those measurements. Okay, so the bell housing is on tight with 2 bolts, and now we will take our measurement. We'll take a straight edge across and drop a dial depth caliper thingy down there to get the depth. All right, we're gonna have to subtract this. It's 3/4 aluminum plate. And I already took this measurement, so this is really just a shot for the camera. I did on the underside because I can see better. But anyway, what you do is you go like this and you get it down to a finger. So see, I can't, let me do it. I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, let me do it this way. Hopefully it shows up on camera. Basically, I'm just touching the top of that finger. So right here. See that finger right there? So I'm just taking that dimension. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our slave on. That's bottomed out already. Okay, I'm just going to install one bolt, get it tight. Okay, make sure this guy is fully bottomed. All right, I'm going to put a rag because this is the bore that it rides on, or the sleeve that it rides on, so I just want to protect that a little bit. Okay, so we're going to measure from this face to here. Okay, I'm going to put the straight edge across here, like so, and make sure I'm really square. All right, let's go see what we have. Okay, so my dimensions were 2.13 minus 1.93, which is 0.200. Okay, now per monster, they want to see 0.0625 to no more than 200 thousandths. So I'm within that range, and reading on the internet, a lot of times monster clutches are installed without any shims, okay? And I'll discuss where the shims go. They go behind the slave to space it out if this is too great. So I'm right in the ballpark of what they recommend, so we're good to go. Okay, so we're gonna put the slave on, and remember I talked about shims? So TIC Performance sells shims that go behind here, and if your gap is more than specified, let's say I had a 400 thou gap, then I would space this guy out 200 thousandths to bring this closer, okay? But I'm right where I need to be. I don't have these bolts, or these bolts didn't come with the kit, so they're just M6 1.0 thread pitch, and I'm just using, I got some dirt bike bolts here. These are 8mm head. This isn't going anywhere, it just needs to be fastened. So these are about 12 to 16 millimeters long. Got a little bit of blue Loctite on there, and I will just cinch them down. Okay, that thing isn't going anywhere. This right here was a little tight in here, so I took a file and I just cleaned it up a little bit, so now you can hear that it has a little bit of play. Okay, all right, so let me go back to this about our gap. We measured it with bottomed out, right? We have a 200 thou gap, so what that means is this guy is gonna sit on the clutch fingers right about here, and there's 200 thou more travel into the transmission. Okay, so we have a little bit of free play here, or it won't be free play, but it'll be room for the clutch to wear and all the other good stuff. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. Just make sure that we do not have this thing bottomed out and there's no pressure on the fingers. Okay, and we also, if you look, you know, that's about 200 thou. I have this much more, I have this much slave travel. Okay, so that's all good. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our bleeder line on. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove this guy. So can you imagine bleeding this guy down here? That would completely suck. All right, so I have my line here, and it came with a copper washer, so I'm assuming that goes here. Okay. Okay, it just happens to be a 13 mil, and I will snug that guy up. And then here's this line. Okay, so make sure that's all nice and tight. So that guy, we're gonna run this. Now this is your new bleeder screw. So this is gonna run all the way up, I don't know, somewhere against the firewall, okay? Okay, next up, this goes to our master. I guess this guy just clicks in. Okay, so that guy just pops in. This plastic sleeve is actually, I believe, the release. So they have this special tool that goes in here, and it pushes the fingers down in there, and then this thing can come out. Okay, so what's nice is this guy can spin, but that's all hooked up, ready to go. It seems like there's brake fluid in this guy. It looks like they might have done some testing or something. All right, well, that's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to be actually installing the transmission, so stay tuned for that one.